Spider-Man, Spider-Man does whatever Spider can. What's up, Cinephiles and YouTubers? Welcome back to another edition of Nerd With Me Reviews. John Ricky here, and today we're going to talk about, well, the newest edition in a long-running series of films, Spiderman-Homecoming, that is. So, this film series is very interesting for the fact that it has had, 3 different variations of Peter Parker within a span of about 17 years. It's crazy when you think about it, especially in the past decade. They've already gone through 2 different ones. First being Tobey Maguire back in 2002, and he went for about 3 movies. Then there was Andrew Garfield, who came on in, I want to say, 2011. Ended with Amazing Spider-Man 2. Well, it could have been better. And now this time you have Spider-Man being portrayed by Tom Holland. Now this Spider-Man is now a part of the beautifully profitable movie universe of the MCU. It's finally a part of it. Here we go. Now, when they were first talking about rebooting Spider-Man again, those were my exact words, though. I was just like, again? Really? Why? You just had a new Spider-Man. He's actually pretty good. Andrew Garfield is a good Spider-Man. But I guess they're just trying to get away from it, so on and so forth. So let's see what they do. Then I hear they're doing something younger. And if they do, they're going to have a whole trilogy in high school. I was like, oh, okay. Because, if you know Spider-Man, it's like that's really his wheelhouse, is the fact that he's a kid who's a superhero and dealing with his family problems and just being a kid in general. And you didn't get that with the other ones. You had Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Both, they were supposed to be seniors in high school when it happened, when most of the very interesting stuff happened to the original Peter Parker in high school. I mean, that was what it was all about. That's what made him so different and what made him so endearing over these past 50 years. But I have to tell you, I wasn't really sure about who they were getting as Spider-Man, this Tom Holland kid. I'm like, okay, who the heck is that? All right, let's give him a chance. And obviously they were good with bringing him in on Civil War with Captain America. Man, it was like a marriage made in heaven, especially since Tom Holland was so good in the little bit that he had in Civil War. You're just like, oh, I really want to see what he does with the main thing. Man, I gotta tell you, he did incredible. Incredible. He is Peter Parker. He is the Peter Parker that we've been waiting for. Yes, I love Tobey Maguire. He was great, and Andrew Garfield was amazing. But both of them were both a little on the older side, playing high schoolers, and then it's like, oh, they're in college, I guess, both times. So Tom Holland is a lot younger than they are. And that's actually the cool thing about this movie, is the fact that you're like, wow, okay, this guy is a little kid. This Spider-Man is a little kid. And he's like so full of energy and everything else. And the story works so well with portraying him as a little child, with probably one of the best things that could ever happen to him is that he got superpowers. I mean, come on, what kid doesn't want that? And he wants to just go out in the world and be bigger than what he is. Oh, by the way, guys, if you guys are expecting there to be another Uncle Ben death scene and you don't want to see that, well, rejoice, because there's no Uncle Ben death scene that already happened. It's like, at this point, it's like, why even bother bringing that in again as an origin story? Just move on. I mean, I swear to God, probably a baby being born right now already knows the story of how Spider-Man got his powers, how Uncle Ben died. I mean, he probably comes out the womb like, oh yeah, that happened, or Superman is the last son of Krypton, Batman, his parents were shot, blah, 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 blah. So it's like, why bother? And that's the genius about this movie, is that, like, okay, they're treating it as its first incarnation of this new Spider-Man, but they're not retreading what has already been done 3 times. Now, when they said it's going to be like a John Hughes movie, and if y'all don't know who John Hughes is, Home Alone, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, Weird Science, all those type of movies from the 80s. Okay? This movie really lives up to that because this is a comedy with action. It is a superhero action comedy to the fullest. You get really good laughs, and it's not like thrown in there. It's not corny as hell like a certain movie with transforming robots was. Ugh. But it's actually perfect the way everything comes out organically, and that's all thanks to the writers and the director. John Watts directed this movie. He directed Kevin Bacon in this movie called Hop Car that came out like last year. So this is like his second or third feature. Man, he killed it. He killed it. And you know who else killed it? Who I am really surprised did well were the writers. The main two writers are Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly. Now, the reason why I was worried about these two as writers was because these are the guys who gave us that craptastic Vacation movie with Ed Helms just a few years ago. Yeah. But, on the other hand, they did do the original Horrible Bosses, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2. Yeah. Let's just put it this way. This is their best movie that they've written so far. And you can tell that all three are big fans of Spider-Man. I mean, he got the beautiful imagery, but also you have Robert Downey Jr. here as Iron Man, obviously, so it's definitely connected. And they use him perfectly. He's the mentor, he's the father figure that he always wanted to look up to and everything like that. And I thought there was a danger that they were going to overuse Robert Downey Jr. Nah, they used him just the right amount. Him and Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. Yeah. That's hot mayo right there. But she's good. Her and Tom Holland work well together. You really believe that they are, aunt and nephew. It's amazing. But definitely one of the other hearts of the film was Peter Parker's best friend. That kid is amazing. I can't remember his name as of right now, but he is awesome as his second in command and comic relief. And you really feel like it is a high school movie just with Spider-Man. Oh, and on top of that, I honestly think Marvel, because I really consider this more a Marvel movie than it is a Sony movie, but I think Marvel finally has a villain that is well fleshed out. Michael Keaton as the Vulture. The Vulture. He loves his bird characters whenever he goes into comic books. But he is incredible as the Vulture. And he's actually one of the few villains in the MCU that you actually like, you know what? I really, really hope that they bring it back. I'd actually put him second or third to Loki, because I think second is Zemo. Nobody will give him that credit. Michael Keaton is awesome in this movie. You actually feel for him, unlike how I felt for Alfred Molina's character in Spider-Man 2, playing Dr. Octopus. And I'll be honest with you, look, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this. I'm one of the few people that doesn't like Spider-Man 2. Or rather, I think it's overrated. I like the first one, and I actually like this one just about as good as I like the first Spider-Man movie. Now I'm talking about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. The music was alright. I mean, it was serviceable. I think that's probably one of the weaker parts of the movies that didn't really have a defining music cue. I mean, definitely brought back to the original what I was reciting at the beginning of the review, but it didn't really differentiate itself in my book. But I like how it left Easter eggs and everything else. The action was solid enough for the movie. The CG was great looking. Couldn't really tell if this was real or CG. It was very well put together. And trust me, you will never get bored with this movie. And on that note, I give this movie Spider-Man-Homecoming.
I'll be back.
Yeah, dude, I would come back to this movie again. There really isn't that much out right now. Something to hold me down until War of the Planet of the Apes comes out. which is pretty soon, or Atomic Blonde. This right here is the best blockbuster movie of the summer so far. Yeah, I put it above Guardians 2. Transformers, we don't really even need to talk about that. Baby Driver was a solid movie. I mean, you see my review. But anyway, like, subscribe, comment. Hey, be sure to check out our Facebook page, John Ricky /Nerd with me. The link's in the description below. And thanks for listening to me, YouTubers and Cinephiles. Catch you later.